The ship that made generals stop talking. It appeared on the horizon silently. No warning signals, no alarms, no shadows moving across the sky. Just a presence. A ship so massive that every radar operator froze at the same time. Generals stopped talking. Advisors held their breath. Nobody knew what to say because nothing like this had ever been seen before. The ship was unlike any technology known to humanity. Its hull shimmered with a light. That was not sunlight, not reflection, but something else. Something alive, perhaps. The shape was impossible to describe. Curves and edges that should not exist. Panels that seemed to move independently, and yet it drifted gracefully in orbit. The sight was enough to silence entire fleets. In command rooms across continents, officers whispered to one another. Some thought it was a new weapon, others imagined an alien fleet ready to strike. But there was no fleet. Only one ship. One object, and that alone was enough to make armies reconsider their strategies. Generals stopped talking. They no longer gave orders. Their confidence evaporated. Admiral Marcus Kane stared at the live feed from his command station. He had seen warships fall and planets surrender. But this was different. It was not aggressive. It did not broadcast threats. It simply existed, and that was enough to create fear deeper than any artillery or missile ever could. I was part of the observation team. My job was to analyze and report, but even we found our instruments failing. Communications dropped. Satellites powered down one by one. We could not scan it. We could not communicate with it. And yet everyone in the room understood one simple fact. One ship had done what no army or fleet could accomplish. Silence. Total silence. Generals argued among themselves for minutes, then hours. Every suggestion met a new uncertainty. What was its purpose? What could stop it? The questions piled up because answers did not exist. It was not a battle, it was a lesson. One presence could make the mightiest strategist pause and reconsider everything they believed, and to all viewers watching this story, unfold if you want to witness more. Incredible events from space and the strange ships humanity never expected. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn on notifications. This is where such stories appear first, and the journey is just beginning. By the end of the day, the ship remained motionless in orbit. The world had not seen an attack but a display of presence. One ship made generals stop talking. One object reminded humanity that sometimes the greatest power is not in weapons but in what cannot be measured. The lesson was clear and terrifying. That made generals stop talking. By the next morning, the ship had not moved. Its massive hull hovered silently above Earth, a dark silhouette against the pale blue sky. No fleet accompanied it, no weapons activated. Just one ship, still imperfect. Generals and advisors gathered again, this time in larger numbers, yet nobody spoke. The presence alone was enough to hold the world in suspense. I watched the screens as scientists tried every method to analyze it. Lasers bounced off the hull with no result. Signals sent from satellites were absorbed or ignored. The ship did not react, yet everything around it seemed to change. Communications flickered, navigation systems misbehaved, and the weather itself seemed to shift subtly under its orbit. One ship had altered the balance without moving a single gun. In the command room, Admiral Marcus Kane finally broke the silence. He spoke carefully, his voice low. "We have never faced anything like this. This is not an enemy in the traditional sense. It is a presence, a force that makes strategy useless. And it is one ship. That is all we know." We realized that the generals stopped talking not because they were confused, but because they understood instinctively that the old rules did not apply. Entire fleets, entire armies, and centuries of doctrine were meaningless in the face of one object. One ship, perfectly designed, could make even the most experienced leaders question every decision they had ever made. On the streets, civilians did not notice at first. News reports trickled in, describing satellites going, dark strange signals across networks, and unexplained disturbances in communications. Panic grew slowly but steadily. People speculated about aliens' technology and new threats. Some laughed at the absurdity of one ship stopping the entire military, but those in command rooms knew the truth. It was enough. One ship, and that alone was enough to shake humanity to its core. As the day progressed, the ship shifted slightly, almost imperceptibly. Even this small movement caused chaos in calculations and projections. The slightest adjustment disrupted entire monitoring networks. The world realized that precision and design mattered more than numbers. One perfectly constructed ship could achieve what fleets of thousands could not. I took notes feverishly, recording patterns and anomalies. Every observation confirmed the same fact. One presence could rewrite strategy, halt conversations, and instill fear and respect simultaneously. The generals were not cowards. They were aware. They knew that sometimes power is not measured in size or firepower. By evening, the world seemed to pause. Governments issued calm statements, but internally they scrambled. Analysts recalculated every plan. Soldiers were instructed to hold positions. Nobody moved decisively because one ship had already made the first move. It was silent but dominant. One object had made history without firing a shot. The ship as night fell. Its lights pulsed faintly, almost as if breathing. And in that quiet observation we all understood the truth. This was not a fleet. Not a battle. Not a war. It was one ship. One perfect presence, and that was more than enough to change the course of humanity forever. The ship that made generals stop talking. Night fell over the observation stations. The ship remained suspended in orbit, enormous and silent, its dark hull reflecting the faint glow of Earth. Generals and strategists continued to study it, but nobody spoke. The world had learned that one ship could hold more power than an entire armada. One presence alone was enough to stop speech, stop action, and force reflection. I watched the live feed with the rest of the team. Every camera angle showed the same impossible design. The ship had no weapons visible, yet radiated a quiet dominance. Its movements were minimal but precise. Even a slight tilt or rotation seemed calculated to test the planet's defenses and measure human reactions. One ship, perfectly poised, had already changed everything. Admiral Kane convened his council once more. He looked exhausted. For the first time in his career, he admitted something openly. This is not a threat we can quantify. No weapons, no fleet, and yet every calculation we make becomes irrelevant. It is one ship and it is enough. The room fell silent. Even the youngest officers understood that strategy alone could not confront this presence. Across the globe, satellites were still failing. Communication networks flickered. Pilots reported strange electromagnetic disturbances. Nature itself reacted subtly. Birds shifted their migration patterns. Tides and winds seemed to bend differently. The ship did not attack, yet it commanded more influence than 1,000 fleets. One presence and the world obeyed instinctively. We debated what it wanted. Was it testing us, observing our responses, or merely existing? There were no answers. Only speculation. Every hypothesis was incomplete because it ignored one fundamental truth. Humans were unprepared to measure something beyond comprehension. One ship had already proven that our understanding of power was limited. And it was enough. By early morning, the ship descended slightly toward the equator. Not enough to strike, not enough to land, but enough to remind humanity of its fragility. Every military installation recalculated risks. Generals stopped issuing commands mid-sentence, waiting for data that would never come. One ship was teaching lessons that no war college could offer. One presence and humans listened. At that moment, I understood the truth. This was not a fleet. This was not a battle. This was a presence so complete that words were useless. Humanity's greatest leaders were silent, not out of fear, but out of respect. Respect for precision, intelligence, and a scale that could not be measured. One ship had achieved what no army ever could. As the sun rose fully over the horizon, the ship slowly rotated and receded into the distance. It left no destruction, no victory, no declaration. Only awareness. Generals finally spoke again, but their voices were hushed and careful. The lesson remained clear. One ship, one perfect presence had made them stop talking, and that was enough to change the world forever.